of the things that bothers me quite a bit about people is how they will use these new age excuses for age old ignorance and selfishness. And as an example of this, a few examples, you have somebody at a party and they'll see someone and they don't get a good feeling, So they will then justify not interacting with that person and completely even alienating that person because of these memes that are shared around and this bandwagon mentality of, if you have a feeling in your tummy about someone, you don't have to explain it or justify it to anyone. You just listen to your intuition because it's probably for a reason. Yeah, it's probably some of the time, if not most of the time, depending on who the fuck you are, because of confirmation bias, because of your own personal experiences in the past with other people and associations and emotional anchors that you've developed. For example, let's say you used to be in a relationship with a guy who has a moustache of a certain kind or wears a certain kind of cologne, and you see someone at a party who has a similar moustache or has a similar smell, and subconsciously you make the association, and all of those tied emotions that you had with that original person that this person is now reminding you of, it brings up those associated feelings, and that's what you call emotional anchors. So when you just react to a gut feeling, a lot of the time it isn't actually a gut feeling on an instinctive level, or sometimes it might be, but it's produced because using pattern analysis and association and through Pavlovian conditioning, your brain's pretty much saying, oh gosh, well, the last time you went next to an animal with sharp teeth, you got bit. This guy has sharp teeth. You now feel a little bit anxious around him. You don't have to justify it. Don't interact with him. Which makes sense if you're fucking about to interact with a crocodile. But if you're avoiding somebody because of a cologne or because of their moustache, because there's an association there that makes you feel anxious or afraid and fight or flighty, then you are not only alienating that person, all right, not even giving them a chance and giving yourself a moment to actually connect with them and see what you vibe and what vibes you pick up beyond your first impression, because there's a difference between your gut feeling that you have and your first impression when you look at someone. Because when you look at someone, it's just mental, and you are more inclined to just have these subconscious associations come up, and you don't even know why you're feeling a gut feeling, but it's telling you, don't talk to that person. So we shouldn't be like, you don't have to justify it, just don't talk to them. Because then what if somebody's really ugly, and everybody generally has the association just to ignore ugly people? They can what? Just justify alienating people because they're physically, aesthetically unpleasing? Is that really fair? Another example is people just find being selfish, self-centered, ignorant, or neglectful, abandoning others under the guise of, and this is a very new one, it's getting very popular now, getting a lot of hype, under the guise of, well, you gotta love yourself to love someone else. I gotta work on me. I gotta find myself. I gotta work on myself. I can't be responsible for anyone else. I am not responsible for anyone else. I gotta focus on me. 100% entirely. 100% of the light on me. No room for anyone else. And this is the thing. They take an element of truth, of what's a going, piece of wisdom, such as, yes, you do gotta love yourself and work on yourself and make sure you're okay and independent before you get too involved with someone else. But that also doesn't really mean that, as a community or neighborhood, or even as a fucking, let's say, a partnership you have with someone or a good friend, that you can leave somebody in the dark, especially if you're involved in a situation that has them in the dark. That you can just leave them in the dark and leave them struggling when all it might take is just a simple, hey man, hang in there, I hope you're okay. Something like that, Some people are just like, well, no, I don't want to get involved. I'm trying to just have fun. I just want to do my own, thing and be kind of selfish and self-absorbed. And I only want to feed what rewards me. I only want to feed what benefits me. And if it doesn't advance me or further me, then in the name of, well, I'm doing what's good for me and you should do the same and look after yourself, I'm just going to ignore that person and tell them exactly that. Tell them when they're crying, feeling alone and abandoned, say, well, sorry, I'm the bigger person because I'm making the changes I need to make to myself. Maybe you should consider the same. So now they're giving advice from a upward, higher woke fucking place, looking down at this weak person who needs to go through their thing alone, just as this other person is. And half the time, this other person, when they're saying I'm working on myself, are they really? Or is it, like I said, just an excuse to not have to work on anyone else, to not have to work or put in effort or thought and time into anyone else in ways that's just not self-serving? It's easy to say, follow your gut feeling. It's easy to say, well, we need to sort ourselves out, and I'm focusing on me right now. But, it doesn't mean it's coming from a place of enlightenment, because if it were, enlightenment is tied with love, with unity, with the fact that we are all of kin, of the same kind, that we all share consciousness, and that we are here for one another. And by helping others and healing others, we also healing ourselves. But we need to strike a balance. You can't really help and heal anyone too greatly or for too long if your reserves of energy are low and you're unstable and you need help yourself. So yes, if one is so debilitated that they cannot take their head out of their own butt because they're so absorbed in their own shit that they can't even see anyone else, they can't even put any time, any effort at all, fair enough. Then make that known from the beginning. Don't sign up for anything and don't mislead anyone into expecting more from you if you're simply unable to provide anything beyond what serves you for your own growth, spiritual growth. But that's just it. New Age excuses for age-old ignorance and selfishness. We don't need to. It's insulting to enlightenment. And you know what? I actually did something similar, and I've seen a pattern, but it's kind of the opposite to that. I used to justify ignoring my needs. I used to justify coming up short. I used to justify allowing myself to be underappreciated by others and overlooked by others and always going out on a limb for people and playing savior, as my dad would call it. All right? I would allow myself at my expense to not do anything for me because I was too busy helping others. The complete opposite of, oh, I'm just focusing on me right now. I don't have time to help you, sorry. It's more like, I don't have time to help me right now because the whole fucking world needs help. Because this person over here needs help. So it's kind of like the same thing, but the other way around. But it's still the same kind of thing. And in a way, it's still selfish, even if it's more self-destructive. Because in a way, maybe for me, it's a means to keep distracted from really working on the stuff I need to work on for me. And when I say the stuff I need to work on for me, I mean the stuff I really want to get going in my life and developing so that I can better help others and help really create change in this world in a real positive and significant way. Okay? But we all fall prey to this. I used to tell myself, well, there's no higher cause in helping others and this and that. And there just wasn't a balance. I put too much into others, and then I'd give them all of my heart and all of my energy and all of my mind in trying to help them get through whatever they're going through. And then I would end up feeling heartbroken and end up feeling head fucked because they were on the opposite extreme where they were just stuck up their ass and they couldn't give me anything back, or they couldn't even really see me or appreciate what I was doing for them. And a lot of the time, a lot of it was just thrown in my face or simply unacknowledged. I drop a gift and they just... The gift just hits the floor because they never received it, and we all know that feeling when you've given a lot to someone and it feels like it was just wasted. It went nowhere and they just didn't appreciate it. And in fact, they end up resenting you for a few little stupid things or made up things in their head, despite a world of good that you gave them. One little drop of a mistake that spoils a whole ocean of positive and beneficial action. One fuck up, and that's some people will just keep on chewing on it like it's fucking beef jerky. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to identify. It's important to identify the ways in which we deceive ourselves, especially when it comes to justifying age-old ignorance and selfishness under the guise of a higher cause, being woke, being enlightened, being committed to something more important. Nothing is more important than being in touch with your higher self, with our higher self. Nothing is more important than knowing thyself so that you can help others. But you don't need to know thyself completely, until you can start helping people. You can still help them insofar as just dropping a line and be like, hey, are you okay? I mean, it's really not that hard. And you can still do that to yourself as well. You can just stop and say, hey, am I okay? Do I really want to go along with this thing that's happening? Do I really feel up for this? Do I want to make this decision? What's best for me? Okay? I think it comes to a balance. It comes to being authentic and honest about what we are doing, about why we are doing it, and keeping in mind that typically if there's something that we are pursuing that has a positive value attached or a benefit or beneficial outcome, it generally also, it might be just as much a matter of us trying to distract ourselves away or evade something else that we don't want to deal with, that we don't want to confront or address. And, I didn't clean the house today, or I didn't do this thing I really need to do, but at least I don't know, I made something cool, or I wrote a poem if you're a poet. You know what I mean? Like, putting off the real big things while pursuing these little distractions, which ultimately doesn't serve you, doesn't serve anyone else, because you're not really working through your barriers and liberating and empowering yourself so that you can give the best of you to the world in the best possible way. All right? So that's the quest I'm on now. I'm still going to help people because, hey, I'm only human. I can't turn that shit off. But I am going to put a valve on it. And I'm going to be more selective and moderate. And there are going to be rules in place. And I'm going to make sure that I put just as much time and attention on me and my own stuff. Because I think a balance is important. A balance is too important. You will lose yourself and be heartbroken with a head just full of confusion and despair and in humanity if you give yourself entirely to people without really looking after you. And likewise, you will turn into a cold, careless, shallow, insipid, guilty, a broken sometimes person. If you shut off completely and just focus on you, you'll just become so selfish that you won't have that ability to even emotionally give yourself or connect or even receive anyone, and to really value the beautiful things that human beings can exchange when they allow their walls to come down and be vulnerable and exchange that emotion and sentiment and all the service, So don't overserve and don't deprive yourself of service. Don't be too selfless. Don't be too selfish, because either way, one will render your heart broken, or one will render your heart blind. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So, wishing you guys all the best, and may you too, on your quest to find yourself and find that balance with you and everyone else. I wish you the best with it. And I truly wish that the best things will come out of your life. Whatever it is you're pursuing, be realistic about every step you're taking and ask yourself, am I really moving towards something important right now? Am I doing the things I'm saying I'm doing? Or is that just an excuse so that I can move away from something else? So at the end of the day, you're not a child. We are all children, but you're not childish. And if you are, you don't want to keep feeding that. You don't want to allow yourself just to turn a blind eye and come up with these lousy excuses. You actually want to you want to adult a bit and be honest with yourself. And even if it's confrontational, even if it's difficult and uncomfortable and anxiety-inducing, it's far better to actually confront limitations and overcome them so you grow, instead of just hiding from them and wrapping the world around you, removing the bits that are too confronting. So you're like, I don't know, like a bubble boy or a bubble girl, and you simply just roll around in the same limited circle, getting fucking nowhere, being totally disconnected from living an authentic life and being connected to the world. All right? So it's all about balance. Good luck in striking it.